Hey everybody, are you an avid runner? Do your friends refer to you as a cardio bunny? If so, then you will enjoy this week's content series. We're going over running and why functional strength can impact running and make you a better runner. In this content series on running, we're going to talk about the hip, specifically hip flexion, hip extension. We're going to talk about the foot and the ankle. And then, of course, we're going to talk about your core, specifically rotation, all of which we will cover will help you become a better runner. So today's focus is on the hip, specifically hip flexion and hip extension. Admittedly, there are other ranges of motion such as internal rotation and abduction that play a role in running, but we will not be discussing them in this content series. So guys, I'm getting rained on, but that doesn't matter because I'm still talking to you. Some of your main hip flexors are the iliacus, the psoas, and rectus femoris, and they play a major role in your ability for you to lift your knee towards your chest, also called hip flexion. If we're talking hip extension, that's the ability for you to open up your hip and propel yourself forward. The two main muscle groups for that motion are the glutes and the hamstrings. So if you have poor running mechanics, a common compensation is to overuse your hip flexors and knee extensors, so your quads and your hip flexors end up getting real tight, real sore, and your glutes and hamstrings get no love and attention. So your goal should be to get your hip flexors and hip extensors to function together properly to make you a strong and efficient runner. All right, everybody, so the single leg glute bridge will help you work on your hip extensors and hip flexors simultaneously. You can use different variations with bands, weights, so on and so forth, but using this movement and doing it effectively will make you a stronger and better runner. Talking about the single leg glute bridge, here's what that looks like. So you're going to lay down on your back here. I'm going to start with my foot on the ground like this. I'm going to pull my toes towards my shin. I'm then going to try and drag the ground towards my butt with my heel. I'm going to activate your hamstring. I'm going to bring this knee towards my chest, causing hip flexion. And then with this, I'm going to drive into the ground, bring my hips in the air, hip extension. So once again, I'm working hip flexion and hip extension at the same time. Hey everybody, this week is all about running, and on Monday we talked about the hip, specifically hip flexion, hip extension, as far as helping your running pattern. We're also going to talk about the foot today and how having a strong foot/ankle complex makes you a better runner. So guys, your posterior chain, including muscles like the glutes and hamstrings, are the prime mover during running. They're responsible for generating massive amounts of force to propel you forward, especially when running at higher speeds. Now, where does that force go? So the glute and hamstring, which are responsible for generating massive amounts of force, the forces that they generate must be transmitted into the ground through the foot/ankle. So if you have an unstable or weak ankle, you're going to have poor running mechanics. This means that our ankle and foot complex needs to be strong enough to absorb and transmit forces generated by the hip. So if we strengthen our foot/ankle, that's going to do a couple things. It's going to prevent us from getting an injury. It's going to allow us to run faster. It's actually going to allow us to run longer as well. So now that we understand the foot and ankle complex is important, especially with regards to running, let's talk about now how to train the foot/ankle in running shapes and positions. Hey guys, before we get too deep into the ankle, let's talk about the foot. So a lot of people have what's called a collapsed foot, where you have no arch here. You want an arch like that right there. And some people don't have that, so you need to build it. So how we do that, you take a lanyard, you lay it down. Here, you're gonna put your toe, all 5 toes on top of it. You're gonna lift your big toe keeping your other toes down, then do the inverse, building the muscles on the bottom of your foot, giving you a stronger, more stable surface to support your running. Yo, so we're training the foot/ankle today. So you're gonna put your foot elevated on something like this. You're gonna get to a running shape. You're going to lower yourself down with solely your ankle and then come right back up. And just repeat this motion, gaining stability and strength at the ankle joint while maintaining a runner's position and shape. So everybody, today marks the last day of the content series for the week, and we're going to talk about core rotation and how to incorporate and why it's important for your running. So normally when we talk about the core with regards to lifting weights, the core needs to be tight, stiff, and rigid, right? That helps you lift more loads. Now when we talk about running, that's actually disadvantageous because a stiff and rigid core can't rotate, which means you're going to have pain while you run or not run fast. So when running, your core needs to be able to rotate in relation to your hips and shoulders, right? The positions of those extremities matter. So performing movements like the Russian twist, though it's core rotation, won't help you be a better runner. So if you have issues engaging the core muscles responsible for rotation, you're going to have to recruit and engage other muscles not designed to do that function. Specifically and usually often the low back, which then relates to low back pain when running. So you have these muscles on the side of your core, like right in here, called your obliques. There are two muscle groups. You have your internal and external obliques, and they're responsible for lateral flexion, which is like the tilting of the spine, as well as core rotation. So your obliques, they start at the pelvis and attach around the rib cage, which is what allows them to facilitate in the rotation of the body during dynamic or active movements such as running or like sport-related movements. So if you want to strengthen your core in order to be a more efficient, stronger, and faster runner, you're going to have to be in running shapes, sport-specific training, that will allow you to strengthen your core in those positions. Let's go over some of those exercises now. To go over core rotation, we have to train the core in a running shape. So I'm going to get in a stance that mimics my running. We can kind of call it a lunge iso hold. I'm going to grab a band and a kettlebell. I attach the band to something sturdy like a rig. I'm going to create a shelf with my kettlebell. I'm going to pull the band and then rotate towards the band, feeling my obliques on both sides as I perform this movement.